course, if there's a church, there ends up being 2 books that he writes to the Corinthians. The Corinthians have all kinds of problems even after they're saved. I mean, you talk about a church that was a mess. The Corinthians were a mess. He wrote 2 long letters to them. And I don't know if they ever did get straightened out. But you know what? The most important thing is, though, that the Corinthians were believers. Those people in Corinth that he wrote to, that seemed like he scolded. He said, this isn't right, you got all this going on, you got all kinds of squabbles and fighting and all kinds of little groups over here. This person doesn't like this person, and this person thinks this person's better than this person. All the problems, all the carnality they had, but he wrote to them as believers. And we need to know that the most important thing is that we're a believer. Believers have their problems. And I don't care what church it is you walk into today, I'm glad you walked into this one. But if you hang out here long enough, you're going to find out we have problems. And not me personally, but several other people. No, that's how we are. That's how we are. I mean, you know what? And we judge everyone else as though we don't have any problems. Yes, we do. Okay? And sometimes we walk, and we especially are hard on church people. But you know what? That's why we need to love each other. You know what? No one else is going to give you a break, especially if they know you go to church. We need to live for Jesus. But Paul wrote to those Corinthians. I mean, you'd have thought he was so mad at them. You'd have thought as he wrote that letter, he was about like he was ready to pull his hair out. But you know what? He loved them. And he told them. I mean, he let them know. But he just wanted them to live the way God wanted them to live. And especially, he wanted them to be in unity in one accord. But I say all that to say Paul spent some time here in Athens. Every place he went, just like Jesus. Jesus, every place he went, he said, I must needs pass through Samaria. There wasn't any place Jesus went to by accident. Any place he went, there was a reason and purpose for him to be there. And it might seem like, well, Paul was just stopping by in Athens just to get to Corinth. But you know what? Once he was in Corinth, he found some people that were his people. They were Israelites. He started talking with them. And then other people hear it, and they get curious. Remember, it's a place where it's full of philosophy. We see just a couple of them mentioned here, the Epicureans and the Stoics. Now, we still use the word Stoic. You know, sometimes we'll say something, they're too Stoic. And they were kind of opposite ends of the philosophy spectrum at that time. And philosophy has many different branches. Yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean, you take a look at the Epicureans and the Stoics. Philosophy really boils down to realism and pragmatism. It boils down to rationalism and idealism. And about 4 different philosophies, and then they all have about 100 tentacles. So there's every ism you could ever think of. But basically, those 4 are the 4. And the Stoics and Epicureans would have fit into those 4. We need to realize, as God's people, that no matter where we are in this world, there's going to be an opportunity to share the gospel. You would have thought that the one place where Paul could be guaranteed, okay, Paul, we guarantee you, go ahead and preach here all day. Nobody's going to believe it. Would have been Mars Hill. Would have been Athens. Would have been the place where it says that they had a God for everything. I mean, we still today talk about the Greek gods, but I mean, they just had hundreds of gods. And they even, in case they missed one, they had an altar there that said to the unknown God. And you know, Paul used that altar right there to the unknown God as an object lesson to preach about Jesus. He said, to the unknown God whom ye ignorantly worship. He said, he's the one I want to talk about today. See, Paul couldn't talk to these Greek philosophers like he could talk over there in the Jewish synagogue. When he went to the synagogue, he would say, ye men of Israel. And then he would give them a history of their nation and all that God did to preserve them, even where God judged them and how God brought them back from captivity. When he preached to the people of Israel, he had a history to talk about. It was his history. But then now he's out here talking to the Greeks. He can't say, let me give you a history lesson about Israel.